What's going on, YouTube? My name is Xavier. I go by Zay. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Everybody's welcome. Please hit that like and subscribe button, especially if you like the content that I'm going to be dropping. I'm going to be dropping weekly, so also hit that notification bell so you'll be notified and can see it first. Little background on myself. I'm 27 years old. I'm a United States Air Force veteran. I'm a rapper, and I'm also an expat. And for those that don't know, an expat is a person who does not live in their country of citizenship. So here on my channel, there are going to be lots of topics of discussion. However, the first series I'm going to be starting are my firsthand paranormal experiences. This seems to be something that a lot of people, especially on my mother's side of the family, we've just had these experiences. It's not like we're super religious and just, oh, that's that, blah, blah, blah. No, we're very logical. However, things have just seemed to happen that, you know, I don't know if it runs in the family or what. But yeah, the experiences that I'm going to be giving you, they won't be in chronological order. However, they will be my first-hand accounts, and then once I run out of stories, I'll be giving second-hand accounts. So, something that happened to my sister, something happened to my mother, grandmother, etc. So with that being said, understand that these will not be in chronological order. I'm just going to go with the ones that stick out to me, and then as my memory jogs, we'll go from there. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So the first story I'm going to be sharing with y'all, this happened when I was about 12 years old. Uh, I'm from Tennessee, Middle Tennessee to be specific. Won't be giving names of cities though. However, where we lived, it was myself, my mother, and then my stepdad. He wasn't my stepdad at the time. However, he became my stepfather. So to give a layout of where we lived in a townhome. So if you walk in the front door, you were seeing the steps. Like you just walked in, you didn't turn anywhere. You just, as soon as you take a step into this home, you walk in, you see in the steps, it's like 15 steps and it's going upstairs. And that's where all of our bedrooms were. To the left, that was the living room. And then there was a hallway, I guess you can call it, that led into the dining room and the kitchen. But when you went upstairs, if you're looking directly up the stairs, all you could see was a closet, and that's where we kept, the towels, toilet paper, soap, stuff like that. And then when you went to the left, you would see my sister's room, then you would see my room, and then the bathroom that my sister and I used, and then to the, like, if you basically did an about face when you were facing my sister's room, that was my mom's room, and she had her bathroom in there. And so this one incident, this happened when I was about 12. And so this is what happened. I don't know what time it was. This was middle of the night. And these were townhomes and an apartment complex as well. And so there was a playground and a basketball court. And it was actually right outside of my window. And there was also a very big park, like a state park, like, like maybe 300 meters away. And it had super high beam lights. So I had a curtain in my room, and it was a black curtain. But obviously the curtain, when it's flush with the window, there's still some space. So light would bleed through the sides of that, the side of the curtain basically. So my room was dark, but you could see if those lights were on. You couldn't like read something unless you were like squinting and right up to the window. However, you could see in there, but it didn't bother me. And so this one night, I wake up, man, I can feel goosebumps on my back just even thinking about this. This one night, I woke up and there was something in my face. And this thing scared the shit out of me. And when I say it was in my face, like if I'm laying on my bed, I'm facing you, imagine something 3 feet in front of you, and I can see it because there's light coming into my room. And it wasn't like a trick of my eyes or something like that. You know how if you wake up and you have your robe hanging on the back of your door or something, you get your eyes got adjust like, what the fuck is that? No, this was not that. This was in my face. This thing is here. And also, it wasn't like perfectly still, like a shadow playing tricks. I could see this thing moving, you know. And like I said, the light was actually hitting it. I could see this thing. And so with me laying down, if I would have stood up, I think this thing must have been like maybe 4 feet tall. Uh Humanoid, I can say that. You know, it had 2 arms, 2 legs that I could see. But this was without a doubt not human. There was no question in my mind. This thing was not human. Um, it was brown, so its skin was brown, but it didn't have skin. How do I describe this? It was as if, okay, you know the back of a crocodile or an alligator, how its tail, those scales are jagged. Like if you punch this thing or slap this thing, it's gonna like hurt your hand. Its entire skin was like this. It was jagged. Like if you punch this thing, your hand is going to be destroyed. That's what it looked like. And it was brown. And it had cat ears. That's how I saw it. That's what I thought of immediately. I was like, this thing has ears like a cat, like perfectly pointed ears on the top of his head. But the thing that stood out the most were the claws. This thing had claws that looked like it would slice a person like with no effort. So basically, your position, you're me, and you're laying down, and you open your eyes, and something is in your face like this, and it's moving, like you can see, and I could see the claws. They were, you know, we're talking 3-inch claws, you know, had a slight curve to them, but they looked like it could rip my heart out immediately. And that's actually like that's what it looked like it was going to do, because this thing was standing there, and it almost had like a Mortal Kombat bounce. You know how they kind of move when you select your character? It was moving like this. So all this thing had to do was reach in. It would have ripped my heart out. Like this is what I'm thinking. This thing is about to do this to me, right? So mind you, everything I just described, I'm seeing all this within a matter of seconds. I woke up, I see this, and I'm looking at this thing, and I mean, this is probably a solid like 7 real seconds that I'm looking at it. I'm just taking this in, because I went from being asleep and woke up, I'm immediately awake. I see this thing, and I close my eyes, and I put the blanket over my head, and I mean, I can feel my heartbeat. I can hear my heartbeat in my ears. I'm like, what is this thing? What is this thing? And I'm like, okay, get your breathing under control. You're gonna look again. It's not there. You know, I didn't know what to think this was, but I was like, I'm tripping. I have to be tripping. So I work up the courage after I get my breathing under control. So this must have took like a minute or so. And I move the blanket and I look, and it's still there. It is still there. So now I know I'm not crazy. I know I'm not crazy, because this thing is still here. I have tried to give myself like a logical, like, no, you're not seeing this, okay? You must have been dreaming. You're not fully awake. At that point in time, I didn't even know what sleep paralysis was. But hindsight, first off, I've experienced sleep paralysis since then. And secondly, I could move. I put the blanket over my head. I could move. So that definitely wasn't sleep paralysis. And so when I look again and it's still there, this time I don't wait. I see it, put the blanket right back over me. And I swear to God, I must have been under the blanket for like 10 minutes. And everybody knows when you're under the blanket, it gets hot. You got no room. I didn't care. I didn't care about having air to breathe. I was just like, please don't let this thing touch me. Don't hurt me. Don't do anything. And I must have been under there for 10 minutes just praying, you know, just please, God, please don't let this thing hurt me. And eventually I worked up the courage to look, you know, peek out. So I remember with the blanket over my head, I made the most tiny hole I could possibly make and look to see if it was still there. And it wasn't. But I still had to check my whole room. So that was like the fuck. moment right there. I was like, man, this thing, what the fuck is this thing? And eventually I looked, scanned my whole room. I didn't see anything. Was still super scared. Eventually I fell back asleep, but it took a while. And so the next morning, I remember I told my mom, I told my sister, I told my stepdad, and they didn't believe me. They're like, oh, you were dreaming. I said, look, I was not dreaming. Okay. I said, I was up all night because this thing scared the out of me. I mean, I didn't curse, but it scared the fuck out of me. And they really didn't believe me. It was just like, whatever. So this is where things start to get interesting. So I don't remember, like, there are a few events that happened next, but I don't remember the order that they happened. But what I do remember is that all of this happened within the span of like a month. It all happened. And the reason I know it did is because, well, disregard that. It doesn't even matter. The point is, I know that this happened within the span of like a month. So the next thing that happened was, this had to be maybe a week later, if a week. Again, I'm in bed. My sister is in her room in bed. My parents are downstairs. So we have the lights off upstairs, but we slept the doors open. It's not like we had to or scared of the dark. This is just something that we just did. I was 12. My sister was like 8. We just slept with the doors open. And so, I'm not asleep yet. I'm tired and I'm falling asleep, but I'm not asleep yet. Because we just got into bed, actually. And, couldn't have been in bed for like 20 minutes, if that. I just happened to be tired because I was always playing outside. And my parents were downstairs and the lights were on. So you know how if you're upstairs somewhere, all the upstairs is dark, but if the lights are on downstairs, light is naturally going to come up, And next thing you know, there's this huge crash. I mean, just this absolute boom. And I fucking jumped out of bed like, what the fuck? Parents run upstairs and we can all tell this came from my sister's room. So we run into my sister's room and we like, what the fuck? And we like, what happened? And she said, Zay came into my room and hit my TV. Now this is the part that is just absolutely crazy. My sister and I, we both had TVs and we would just put them on our dresser. That's just what we did. We had wooden dressers. Mine was taller than hers, though, but she had a wooden dresser. It looked old school, but it was very sturdy. It wasn't leaning. There was nothing wrong with this thing. Her TV went through the dresser. Like, I wish we had a picture of it. I mean, it looked like if you dropped an anvil on somebody's desk and it just goes through and shattered, just splinters everywhere. It's like a fucking bomb went off in her dresser. And I said, what? I said, no, I didn't. And my mom was like, Zay, why'd you, blah, 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 why'd you come in here and do that? I said, Mom, I didn't. I was almost asleep. I said, that scared me. I ran in here. And my sister said, well, look, she said, I was just looking at my door because my sister and I, our rooms were close. So if we stood in our doorways, we could high five, She said, what I thought was Zay was just standing there. She said, but with the lights, I couldn't see him. I could see the silhouette clearly, but I couldn't make details out. But I thought it was Zay. And she said, we were just staring at each other and I wasn't scared because I thought it was him because it came out of his room. I'm getting goosebumps just, oh my God. She said it came out of his room. And so I said, I was in bed. And she said, well, whoever this was walked over to my TV and hit my TV like Hulk smash, just one hit. And she said it hit it and it ran out and ran back in my room. But you got to understand the timing of this. The second I heard the crash, I jumped out of bed. The second this happened. There is no way anybody could have run in my room without me seeing them. Because there's only one way in and one way out. And looking at the doorway, I can see the downstairs, like the stairs leading downstairs. I can see the light. So there's no way you can't not be seen. And I said, what? And she was like, yeah. She said, this thing came out of your room, hit my TV, and ran back into your room. And she said, and then you ran right out. And I was like, that wasn't me. That was really crazy because, like I said, it's not like her TV got pushed off of the dresser or something. This thing went through her her fucking dresser like a meteorite would go through your roof. It went through the dresser. The dresser exploded. This was crazy as fuck. And so that was definitely something that, like, okay, that's pretty weird. And so then my parents are still like, I don't really remember what they were saying, but they weren't saying like, hey, we believe you guys. It was just like, let's just clean this up and y'all go to bed. But I was adamant. I had to let my mom know, Mom, I did not do this. I swear on everything, I did not do this. And I didn't get in trouble. They believed me. So the next event that happened, this had to be a few days later. I was home alone. God, I was home alone. And it was a good day. This was like, let's see, at this point, I must have been in the about to go to 7th grade, or I think I was about to go to 7th grade. This was towards the end of the school year of 6th grade. So it's that time of year when you're a kid and school's about to be out, you're about to be on summer vacation, and me, I stayed outside. It was just like, be back before dark. Cool. Deuces. But I couldn't go outside when my mom wasn't home. So this was like a beautiful day. I've already done my chores. I got the blinds open. I'm watching Nickelodeon and shit. I'm just waiting for my mom to get home so I can go outside, because I can already hear all the kids outside. And where we lived, it was deep with kids. I had a lot of friends. So I'm waiting. I know we finna go kick it. We just finna have fun. All I got to do is wait for my mom to get home. My sister wasn't there. I think she went to her dad's house on this weekend. And my stepdad wasn't there. I don't know where he was either. Matter of fact, when he came back, he was with my mom. So they were somewhere together. But anyway, I'm in a good mood. I'm like, okay, hell yeah. I'm watching Nickelodeon. And then I'm like, oh, you know what? Me and my friends are probably want to go to the store as soon as I can come outside. So I was about to go upstairs to get a little bit of money. We go to the store, we get some candy, And so I'm sitting on the couch and I walk over to the stairs. And remember, I told you the stairs, when you walk into the front door, it was directly in front of you. And all you could see from the bottom of the stairs, at the very top, there was a perfectly pristine white door. It's like they painted it before we moved in. That's, like I said, that's where we kept towels, rags, soap, toilet paper. It was just a little storage closet. But you could only go left. Unless you go walk through walls, you ain't going through the right, because you're going to be in somebody else's apartment. And so I'm at the bottom of the stairs, and I'm about to run up there. And I stop dead in my tracks. There is a hand. And I have big hands. Even as a kid, I had big hands. But there is a hand bigger than... Man, this was like Andre the Giant. Fucking a big ass hand on the door. So from my point of view, I'm looking, all I see is a big ass hand. Like if my chest is the door, it's on the door. But this hand is huge. Like this hand looks like it will belong to somebody that's like 12 feet tall. And a 12-foot tall bodybuilder at that. Just absolutely. The fingers were like almost as thick as a freaking WD-40 can or some shit. Like, it was just a big ass hand. And I'm looking because I can't see what this hand is attached to. I can see like all of this. And I just see this hand. And like I said, the door is perfectly white. and it's broad daylight. It's a beautiful ass day. I think this was like May, late April or May. Like school is almost out, so it's that time of year. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And I'm looking, and I'm like, oh shit. And then the hand just slowly drags off. And like I said, from that point of view at the bottom, you can only see the door, but you can only go left when you get up there. It dragged off to the left, like towards the bedrooms. You think I took my ass up there? Shit. Shit. Hey, man, look. I seen that shit. I was like, oh no. Oh no, 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 no. I was scared as fuck. I was this threw my whole vibe off. I was scared as fuck. Cause like I watched this thing drag off. I mean, for me looking at this hand on the door, I must have looked at this thing for a solid like 8 seconds. Like real 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. I'm looking at this thing, and then it just dragged off. I was like, oh my God. So my my scared self, I went to the kitchen and I was knifed up. I put knives everywhere. I had knives on me. I had knives on under this pillow, over here on this table, everywhere. I had knives everywhere downstairs. I had knives stashed everywhere. And at this point, I'm so shook, I can't even sit down and watch TV now. Because I was downstairs in the living room watching TV. So there's the front door and there's the back door in the kitchen. But I was so scared at this point. I was like, man, if this thing comes downstairs, I can't get out the front door. But what if, like, I felt cornered. I was like, but what if it's too fast and I can't get out the back? Like, I was so shook. I was like, there was nothing that I was not comfortable even being in there at that point. So what I did is I went to the kitchen and I opened the back door, which I wasn't supposed to. I wasn't, as kids, not only were we not allowed to go outside when my mom wasn't home, it'd be different if she was home and she left, like, hey, I'm going to the store, you got your key. But if we just, got home from school, mom, can I go outside? Not till your chores are done, not till your homework's done, and not till I get home. That's just how it was. And we couldn't open the door for anybody unless she let us know, like, hey, grandma's coming over. But it was just something we just did. I opened the door because I could hear my friends outside. For one, there were two reasons I opened this door. One, I needed an escape route. I ain't got time to fumble with the door trying to get out. And two, just the comforting feeling, because I knew, I was like, man, just hearing people and seeing people makes me feel better. And so I sat there and just talking to my friends until my mom got home. And I remember she came in and she was like, Zay, what the fuck? Why you got all these knives everywhere? And I told them what happened. And again, they didn't believe me. They didn't believe me. I'm like, okay. And so then, must have been a couple nights later, early the next week, my mom and stepdad, I guess they had like a little argument or whatever. So he was on couch duty, right? And he said, now I know I said this was going to be a first-hand account. However, I ended up just throwing this in there. So forgive me for that, because I know that me telling you what he said is not firsthand. But I was there. And he was like, I was laying on the couch. And he said, the light above the stove, he said that was on in the kitchen. And so the way the layout of the house was designed, if you were in the kitchen, especially at night like that, and the stove light was on, if you're sitting on the couch, you can see the shadows on the wall, because there was no door separating the kitchen from the living room. It was just kind of a hallway, and then you were in the kitchen, and then it was like the closet where we had like the washer and dryer and shit. And yeah, he said that, man, I was laying on the couch. He said, and this is after all this shit's been going on. He said, and I didn't tell y'all, but I was starting to feel kind of like, what the fuck? He said, man, I was laying on the couch, man. He said, and then I look and I seen shadows on the wall. And I know for a fact that all of y'all were upstairs asleep. And then he said he heard a loud crash. And I heard this crash. And I heard him run upstairs. He said, man, he said, that's the quickest I've ever made up with your mom. Because when we went to look, I don't know if it was the next day. When I say we, I guess I should say them. When they went to look, the trash can was flipped. The trash can was flipped. You know, yeah. They started believing me after that. When I told them, I was like, hey, there is something in here. But the crazy thing is, you didn't get that vibe from that house. I don't think it was, I wouldn't say it's a haunted house. I feel like something was following us, because where we had just moved there from, that house was haunted as fuck. And we lived there for 7 years, and I've got a lot of stories from that house. But I definitely wanted to get this one out here, or I guess these few out here, because these are something that really stick out in my mind, my childhood. Because I mean, even now, me as an adult, at 27 years old, if I saw what I saw when I was 12, I would be shook. And I don't have fear. I don't live with fear in my heart. But man, I mean, this shit was scary, you know, especially when you're trying to, rub your eyes, or just like, no, I'm tripping. And you look again and it's still there. And you can see it moving. It was solid. It wasn't a shadow. It was solid. I could see this thing. You know, the one thing I couldn't, about the story, about the thing I saw in my room, the one thing I can't say were the eyes. I cannot give a description on that. Part of me wants to fill in the blank and say they were like a cat, but I feel like I only say that because the ears. I can't remember what the eyes looked like, honestly, if I could even see eyes. But I remember the ears, and I remember the claws, and I got a glimpse of its teeth, and they were, the best way to put its teeth, Jeepers Creepers. If you've seen Jeepers Creepers, you know what I'm talking about. Every single tooth is razor sharp. There are no molars. They're all razor sharp. That's how its teeth were, and it had a grin. But don't ask me why the claw. I guess because the claw looked like it was in position to just take me out. That is what stuck in my mind the most of everything, the most. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, definitely hit that like button. You enjoy content like this, subscribe. Like I said, I've got a lot of stories, and so does my family, and so I'll be sharing those. And if you've experienced anything like this or seen anything like this, then definitely get in that comment section, because nothing I said is made up. Obviously, you have to take it in stride, take it with a grain of salt, because you're seeing it on the internet. I totally get that. You actually should be doing that. However, I know that over here on my channel, everything I'm telling you is real. It's all facts. So yeah, again, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. If you like this type of content, I got a lot of stories, and I'm gonna be coming with a lot more. Till next time, y'all be easy.